Based on the results you've had in the various projects you've dealt with in the last 5 to 10 years, what, if they're playing catch up, what would you do first? Would you upgrade your ERP system? Would you build a website? Would you go to maybe some social media strategy? Where would you go first?
Well, that's a tough question. To me, your ERP system is the core of everything that you do. I mean, it is for us. It is the core, and everything should feed out from there. So obviously, that one certainly would be very high on the list. If not, the other number one or number two, obviously, for me, would be the website.
I agree. I think ERP would probably be first. People came to me for a while and said, do we need a new website? And I would say we're not ready. Because if you're going to do that new website, it needs to have the functionality of like the e-commerce, or if the goal is just brand building, you need to have the content ready. Somebody's going to be making a blog or really doing the social media full force, but that's a full-time job too, if not a couple people full-time job. So I'd focus on the ERP first. It really is the core. It can directly improve your efficiencies, improve your business. The website can help a lot, but only if you're going to do it right. So I think the ERP, no matter what, is going to show some benefits right away.
Another question up front? Go ahead.
Yes, we were talking a little bit about what customers are wanting from websites. Can you highlight what you're seeing from industrials versus contractors? It seems that industrials, obviously, it seems like they're a little further along. What kind of things are you seeing from industrials and contractors? You already went through this.
Sure. So you're correct. Industrial type customers and state government agencies, universities, much further along from an e-commerce perspective. Those guys, for the most part, always want to punch out. So your website needs to be punch out capable. If you don't have an active website, or you're getting ready to work on one, you got to make sure part of that RFQ process you go through is the punch out capability, and you can do that. So punch out is very important. The other thing that I'm starting to see an uptick in, traditionally in a punch out, and you may, if you don't know what punch out is, basically, let me give you just a real quick rundown, maybe that'll help. Basically, in a punch out situation, you have a person that's inside their procurement system at a company. And they enter, typically it's what's called their marketplace, and there will be an icon that says Mayor Electric Supply. They click on that icon, and when they do, it punches them out of their firewall out of their system into Mayor Electric's website, just like a shopping cart, and they add items to the cart. And when they get finished, they hit checkout, and it takes the content of that cart and moves it back into their procurement system and builds a requisition that goes through a workflow process, and they get a PO. Okay? So that's what punch out is. Now, so what am I seeing? The question is, what am I seeing? So typically, historically, they would send us an inbound EDI transaction for that. That's starting to change. Now they don't want to do EDI as much as they want to send a CXML PO. And they want the invoices sent back via CXML. So you need to be able, the other thing, diving a little deeper, is you need to think about web services and transacting those CXML POs and invoices as web services. Do you have an offering for that? And how do you need to build that out? So that's what I'm starting to see from them. Obviously, they're going to want their negotiated pricing to show and those kind of things. The other thing, just a tip from building a website perspective, we have a My Account section, and they can go see invoices and search and do all those kind of things. You got to be able to carve off sections of your website, because some customers will say, I don't want them to see any of my accounts payable information. Or they'll say, I don't want him to order anything, but I want him to be able to see the pricing. I want him to be able to get spec sheets. I don't want him to see. So you got to be very flexible. So we see some of that on the construction, commercial side, and construction-wise, the price has to be there. They want to see their price. They want to be able to see that spec sheet. because they want to build their submittals from that. They want to see their accounts payable information. They want to be able, depending if you're probably doing jobs, so they want to separate out maybe their house account from the job account, query on both. It's a lot of fact-finding type information. We're starting to see more and more of here's this material list that I've negotiated pricing with you, and I've got certain guys, I want them just to be able to click here and go here and drop it into a cart and everything kind of happens. That's some of the things that we're starting to see. So those are the main things: the pricing, the spec sheets, the good item descriptions, and that account information, and a way to communicate back to their inside person.
We only got a couple of minutes left. Do you had a question real quick?
Yeah, a couple of thoughts or questions. I operate a construction house in Stockville. Essentially 95 to 98% of all the customers are electrical contractors. We still have people contact us via fax. Have you lost business because you didn't have an e-site that was appropriate? Has a customer come to you and said, hey, I can't do business with you because you don't have an e-site?
I can't say that we've lost business. There has been maybe one or two in the education area that we have 3-4 years ago that we were not able to bid on the contract because we could not at that time not do punch out the way they wanted to do it. So from that perspective, probably one or two, but I've not had any come and say, if you can't do this, we're not going to do business with you.
Matt, what about you?
Same thing. To my knowledge, we haven't directly lost anybody for that reason. It's definitely a benefit on some of the contract or the customers that want to be that partner with you. They come to you with that, so there might have been some lost business there from the going after them phase, not the they're already with us phase.
So if I'm attempting to harness technology, am I doing it more as a defensive mechanism to prevent the scourge of Amazon or the folks that are really heavily involved? Kind of reminiscent of 25 years ago when we were peeing our pants about Home Depot or Lowe's. Is that some of what we're seeing here or dealing with?
Well, I can speak for myself. I don't view it as a defensive position. I really view it as offensive. We're building a strategic plan to tackle this part of our business and better serve our customers. It's not, and it's true. If we don't do it, someone else is going to do it. But I don't look at it as defensive. I'm looking at it as strategically, how do we build the best site so we can grow our customers?
My opinion is that the millennials of the world are going to be the 65% of the workforce in 2020, and they don't shop at shopping malls and they don't go to stores anymore. All they do is use their phones to buy stuff anyway. So if you're going to play the game behind the curve today, then you're going to be behind the curve when they take over in 5 years from now. And they're going to become the purchasing agents. They're going to become the heads of companies. They're going to move. They're going to be people who are attending these meetings. And again, the Amazon folks have recruited those people already. And so the question is not today, the question is 10 years from now, what happens? And what's your viability in 2025 as opposed to what's your viability in 2016? I mean, I think you're fine in 2016. I'm not so sure you're so great in 2025. And so what do you want to gear yourself for? Do you want to gear yourself for the short term or the long term? Some people just want to get through whatever it is they want to get through and get through today and tomorrow. But I think that there's a lot of people who are like, we got to sustain this. I got kids who want to own this company, and I'm planning to be in business in 2050. Well, in order to be in business in 2050, you have to know who your customer is about to be, not who you have now.
So the assumption is I've got to pick up on the fact that the sons and daughters of the contractors that I do business with
Are going to end up running the company one day. Right.
I mean, I still got people that send us an email or a fax and
Sure.
to 8 or 10 distributors. I want to buy one of the lower price or who has stock,
Right.
most stock. I mean, that's still
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I think this brings up a really interesting point. This is, I think, a really great panel this morning because, so much of our attention goes to the, sort of the CNN culture, breaking news, websites are taking over the world. But you both focus on the fact that the fundamentals of business are really critical. Having information to be able to do analytics things for sales and purchasing history is really, really important. And so I think what we're talking about, Scott, is the tension between getting from here to there, knowing that I can have a great social media strategy and I bring in this great 20-something and I sit them down in front of an ASCII green screen tournament and say, go at it, bud. And I mean, it is irony, that we focus on it. It's like we talked about, Scott posted a online chat session, and one of my topics is, how do I get into an aggressive electronic commerce strategy? And some people say, where do I find money? And I try to get their attention and say, well, close your smallest branch, the least profitable location. Because really, if you look at what you're spending on that and invest that in an e-commerce strategy, it can take you a long way, and you're probably only marginally profitable there anyway. But the tension is, how do we get there when a lot of companies are still on green screen, old technology, fundamentals in the back office, to a world that we know is coming, but what do we do from 2016 to 2025 for companies like yours? And I think the industry needs to focus more on that tension rather than just talking constantly about the end point. We know it's coming, but what do we do today to keep a profitable ongoing business? So my question is finally, is how do you resolve that tension when you look at internal processes that can still be automated, you still get great ROI efficiencies for internal versus balancing, this big thing's coming down the road.
So how do you do, which one do you do? Is that kind of the question?
How do you balance the tension between investing in sort of the mundane that needs to be done, but also keeping your sights towards the future?
Well, obviously, you have to do both. And so striking that balance is very difficult. And, I think that, for us, if there's areas where we really believe that there's some operational efficiencies and there are ROIs there, then we're going to invest in those on that operational side. Where we know there's these big things coming down the pipe that we've got to position ourselves and get ready for, we're willing to invest in those. So it really comes, on the operational side, it really turns in more of an ROI. Is the ROI there to do it? Where on the things that are coming, it's, well, we know we got to prepare. We can't really justify it from an ROI perspective. So each side of that budget's having to take care of both of those.
The sound of applause next door says we're out of time.
Okay. All right.
I apologize. We should have started with your question, Landon. I apologize. Matt and Barry will be back here at about 10 after 1 because I'm forcing them back here at 10 after 1 because we're doing this again at 1:30. If you guys have other questions and you want to meet up with them, they'll be here as we prep for the 1:30 event for questions for them. There are yellow sheets in front of you. You all must fill them out and hand them in or we will not let you walk out the door. I hope everybody has a great meeting. I hope that I can catch up with all of you while we're here. Thanks for coming to this education session. We'll see you guys soon.